Hello and welcome back to another video, people. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. And yeah, Tottenham 3, Chelsea 4. What a game once again, people. This is your match reaction. And yeah, we're going to have a couple videos. We're going to have a few videos reacting to fan meltdowns coming from the Manchester United and Arsenal and Tottenham. So be sure to check that out later. That's going to come onto this channel as well. We'll do a big video. I might even stream it. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure. I'll think about it. But yeah, make sure to like the video. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I'm trying to hit 1K as soon as possible. But let's talk about the game. This game never disappoints. This is my favorite fixture to watch as a neutral in the Premier League. This is my favorite Premier League fixture to watch. When Chelsea, Arsenal, and Tottenham usually face each other, ever since I've been growing up, it's always been like very chaotic games, very enjoyable games to watch. And usually I'm rooting for someone to lose. I just don't like it when it's a draw and then I can't laugh at anyone. Um, but today we can. Today we can. And looked at the lineups. First thing I noticed, Van der Ven and Romero were back. That means they were rushed back because Romero was like 50-50 from what I read. And I didn't read anything about Van der Ven coming back this week. So I wasn't really sure about that. And with Van der Ven having to do a lot of, recovery pace, like his recovery pace, being used as a main tool for this high line, his hamstring was never going to last. I'm surprised he lasted as long as he did. Pause. But Romero barely lasted like 20 minutes. Can't remember when Dragusin came on, but it ended with Dragusin and Gray being a centre back partnership. Tottenham are fucked. I don't know. I don't know what's up with them. Well, I do know what I kind of do want to know what's up with them. It's just like the chicken to come home to roost. They've been found out. They'll win the odd game here and there, but ultimately it's not enough because yes, Ange needs to take responsibility. He does, especially with where Tottenham are. But we all know. I think we all know as neutrals that he's not the main problem. It's the guy upstairs. Um, I've talked about the Tottenham cycle on other people's channels and the many times that we've just talked about Tottenham in general. Um, what they're like when it comes to managers, like especially since Pochettino, back the manager, go on a run, fall off and get found out, and then talk about the manager's style of play, and then they eventually don't get backed, and then it all becomes a bit of a circus. That's kind of the loop. Um, Tottenham's goals came from Kukurea slipping. Kulusevski started the game really well. I'm pretty sure he scored 2 goals, and obviously Son scored at the end. Um, Kulusevski started really well, petered off to the end. A lot of his decision making at the end didn't really wasn't really effective enough, in my opinion. However, at the start of the game, was very key towards everything Tottenham was doing and understood why he started today over James Maddison. Um, but his individual errors, I can't really blame Ange Postecoglou for today. I don't think he got the lineup like wrong from what they have. Like, would you rather play Son, Brennan Johnson, or Timo Werner? I think we all know the answer to that. At least Johnson can contribute with some goals. Um, even he came off injured. I'm pretty sure he came off injured, and the two centre backs. So we're going to see whether Tottenham's injury crisis just gets worse and worse and worse. But that they don't really have a squad that they can trust necessarily either. Going on to the Chelsea side of things, um, again lineup spot on. I didn't really think that Gusto should come on for Lavia. By the end of the day, it kind of worked. So like Gusto can stand in the back three in possession, so they have a right footer on the outside rather than Badiashile doing it because he had a howler of a first half. Robert Sanchez again, uh, absolute stinker of a goalkeeper. I've been telling people since he moved to Chelsea that this guy was shit. I've been saying since Brighton this guy was shit. Um, but people don't watch non-Big Six teams, so they kind of have a vague perception of players because they watch players in moments. They don't watch teams outside the Big Six, especially fans of Big Six clubs. Um, but Robert Sanchez has always been like this. He's never not been like this. I know he started the season well. I know there was a small portion of Chelsea fans that probably thought he's good enough to get through for this season, but he's not. You've got Jorgensen on the bench. Uh, whether you think he's good enough or not, you might as well give him a go, regardless. You might as well at least give him a chance to thrive. So there is also that. But regardless of Robert Sanchez passing the ball to Tottenham players constantly, it didn't really affect Chelsea's game too much. Now, good switch from Enzo Maresca in the second half to put Colwell and Badiashile to swap centre back so Colwell can be in the middle with his line breaking passes. And Badiashile had a good second half in the end because he was comfortable on his side. Um, Caicedo in both halves, again, we need to talk about Moises Caicedo this season because the guy has been the best Premier League midfielder this season. Every game I watch him, when he's playing right back, inverted right back in midfield, it doesn't really matter because he has the strength, the football IQ, the defensive awareness, the reading of the game, the dribbling, the agility. He pretty much has everything. He even has a shot on him as well. He's just a well rounded footballer, not even just well rounded great midfielder. He's a well rounded footballer. And you have to give credit where it's due. There's a reason why he's been the best midfielder this season. Again, I thought Lavia was good in the first half, but I think it probably took him off because of the yellow card. But Romeo Lavia is a great midfielder. Speaking of great midfielders, Enzo Fernandez absolutely bossed it and proved that marriage is overrated because ever since this guy's got divorced, we've seen a new man on the football pitch. We've seen the guy really covering his price tag with some brilliant performances. Brilliant performances. So if he keeps this up, people are going to be eating their words, including myself at the start of the season. Always thought this guy was a good player, but I didn't think he was showing it at the start of the season. Thought maybe should move out from the starting 11, but listen, he's risen to the occasion. And as a Chelsea player, especially a Chelsea player, obviously as a Tottenham player as well, this game's important. This game's really important. And you should know how big this game is already. That's why I also like Moises Caicedo as well because he embraces the derby spirit instantly. He plays like he grew up, like just watching this game and always dreaming to play in this fixture specifically. You said Cole Palmer doesn't turn up in big games, eh? Because especially in the second half, excuse me, he turned up. He turned up, and we can talk about the penalties and the chip for the penalty was absolutely sensational. But also, let's talk about how he made about 3 or 4 Tottenham players dance for the goal for Enzo Fernandez. By the way, a brilliant strike from Enzo added a goal to his brilliant performance as well. But Cole Palmer literally made a couple Tottenham players dance and crip walk trying to defend him. What a player! What a player! The guy has no fear, and what makes a great footballer is that the occasion doesn't get to them. They're playing the game, not the occasion. Whether this guy was playing in a Euro final, playing in a tough away game at Tottenham or wherever it is, no matter what the occasion is, it could be our way to Southampton. The guy is not phased. He is just Cole Palmer. He's going to have bad games. Everyone has bad games. Um, but for the most part, this guy has been one of the best players in the Premier League this season as well. There's a reason why Chelsea are second, is because they've had some of the best performing players this season. I want to get onto this player as well. Jadon Sancho. If anyone, like a lot of you guys have already watched me since the summer, the regulars that I see in the chat, but there's a couple of you that would have remembered my channel before when I started doing watch alongs and streaming this year. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because I've been like a big fan of Jadon Sancho forever. When he went to Dortmund, I was very supportive of his performances and what I saw in the Champions League and the way he performed, and was very of the camp that this guy was being held back by Manchester United, a combination player that never got to thrive with any other pure footballer at Man United. Never got to be used properly. Never really got a decent run of games either. And his because he's not explosive, people don't rate him. But look at the Man United attackers right now. Apart from Ahmed Diallo, there's no one on his level there. Garnacho ain't on his level. Hoyland, Xerxes, Rashford, these lot aren't on his level. Talking just attackers in general. You may want Rashford for a certain type of system. You may want these certain players for a certain type of system, but for me, I'm taking Sancho over any of them any day, including Diallo. And the guy is he's creative, likes to combine, takes people on 1v1 and makes defenders dance when he's not even pacey. So, like, defenders might be thinking that they can get back in a situation, but Sancho's got more than one trick up his sleeve. He's also got a shot on him, and when we saw that, that was the best goal of the game for me. The fact that that went in was brilliant in itself. It was so precise, literally in the bottom corner. So shout out to Sancho, the guy proving people wrong every single week. I didn't even know he had the G&A to back it up as well. I didn't even know he had 7 assists this season. Because I don't look at stats. I don't give a fuck about stats. I watch football with my eyes. Yes, I'm one of them people that watches football with them eyes, believe it or not. And when you watch football, your eyes, you appreciate talent like Sancho. I don't think it was Nicholas Jackson's best game. I thought his hold up play uh, and his back to goal play was terrible today. But he's allowed a bad game because of how great he's been this season. Maresca is like he kind of dipped with the amount of times he used to wait until he was using his substitutions per se in certain games, but when this guy sees a problem, he does solve it. Where in terms of in-game management, the only problem he hasn't solved is well, just bench Robert Sanchez sort of thing. Going back to Tottenham, I think we knew even when they brought it back to 4-3, it wasn't enough. The only reason why they scored their first two goals was because Cucurella slipped twice. They were 2-0 up and they lost 4-2. Well, and then 4-3 in the end. Kind of sums them up in a way. Kind of sums Tottenham up. I don't know what this means for Ange Postecoglou in general, but I can sense it's the end of the Ange era, and it's not completely his fault. Obviously, the manager has to take the responsibility as well. I think Conte was partly to blame at his reign, yes. Do I think Mourinho was part to blame at his reign, yes. But ultimately, even two things can exist at once. Was a similar thing to what we said with Man United and their managers and their board. The manager can be the problem and the board be the problem with the amount of context put into place. I believe that Ange is getting the best out of what he has. The reason why I think there's a difference between Ange, Conte, and Mourinho, I think Ange has a much worse squad than the previous managers, bar in centre backs. He has Van der Ven at least. Um, and yes, the previous managers had Dyer, Sanchez, and Lloris in goal. But I think he is doing a better job of getting the best out of what he has than the other Tottenham managers. I also think he's actually less stubborn than Conte because Conte used to sit back in his laurels way more than Ange did with his laurels. Because as much as people like to say Ange is very stubborn with his style of play, Conte would be constantly inviting pressure and would never switch it up, no matter who was out, no matter what kind of injury crisis and what kind of lineup they would put out. Conte was the exact same. At least Ange can somewhat conform in a way, can somewhat switch it up in a way, can somewhat tweak it a little bit more than the previous two managers. The Mourinho one was ridiculous timing. I understood the frustrations, understood why they would have wanted Mourinho out in general, but sacking him before Cup final wasn't uh, the right time. But that could be a whole other conversation talking about Tottenham in the wider spectrum. No pun intended. Um, but listen, people, make sure to like the video. Make sure to subscribe if you're new. Social medias are in the description if you want to follow me in the email for the inquiries. I'll see you guys later.